Hi guys, Ready Set RC back again today, and today we have the final thoughts review video of the Arrma Kraton 2018 edition. We originally did an unboxing of this truck, not so much a full unboxing, more so just a quick comparisons between this and the Traxxas eRevo VXL. If you guys want, I will also post that up, put a card right here in regards to that video. But for the most part, we're going to do just a quick final thoughts of the Arrma Kraton. As you know, there's been a ton of videos out on the version 1, version 2, and version 3 of the Arrma Kraton. So in this video, we'll just go over our views, our thoughts of how this truck performed. I won't so much go on how this performed versus the Traxxas eRevo. I think you guys can clearly see from the run videos that we have, round 1, round 2, round 3, you can get a very good idea for yourself as to how those two trucks performed against each other and make a quick decision for yourself when you're ready to buy. Hopefully you guys decide to buy both. But if you do not, I think it gives you a clear idea as to which vehicle you can make a decision on when you're ready to make your purchase. So in our format, as we've been doing, we're going to talk about the electronics, the drivetrain, handling and suspension, durability, workability, support, and our two opinionated areas, which is it worth it and would I buy it again? So just jumping right into it and talking about the controller and the receiver. This is the controller you typically get with this. This is the Tactic TTX 300. Typical controller you get from Arrma in regards to these controllers. Hopefully Horizon Hobby is listening to us and does not plan on changing these controllers out to the Spectrum controllers. These controllers feel great in the hand. Response between this and the receiver is excellent. There is no antennas or anything sticking out, similar to the Spectrum. I just love these controllers and how they perform. Hopefully Horizon Hobby is listening, as I said, and does not change this out. As for the receiver, did not cut out, guys. Did not cut out at all. Performed excellent on this truck. We had no issues with the receiver on this truck. We are still running the stock controller and receiver in this vehicle, and it had no issues whatsoever in the performance during our testing. Next, let's talk on the ESC that's in this vehicle. Performed well, guys. We had no issues with overheating. We ran this vehicle primarily on 6S, nothing less than that. ESC did not cut out, did not overheat. We had no issues with the ESC whatsoever. Next, let's move on to the motor. Motor performed beautifully, guys. The motor in this vehicle is perfect. Had no issues in regards to the motor and how it performed. As I said with the ESC, there was no overheating with this vehicle in regards to the motor, and it performed and provided more than enough power for the Arrma Kraton. Servo. This is one subject that I'm going to have to say I had mixed reviews on. So in regards to the stock servo, originally we ran this bone stock. That means we also ran it with the bone stock differential fluid. We ran it with 6S power, nothing changed, and also the stock tires. Felt the servo was a little underwhelming in trying to keep the movement of those tires going on here. We just felt that wasn't enough power coming out of that servo to actually move the vehicle where we needed to. And I think you guys could pick that up on our second run, round 2 of this truck. You'll see that the servo seems a little bit lacking in that video. Let's move on to drivetrain, guys. So this is talking about the front, center, and rear differentials, drive shafts, front and rear, and also the center drive shafts coming in the vehicle. Had no issues in regards to breakages for the drive shafts, guys. Drive shafts performed well, provided the power that we needed on this vehicle. Did not have any bent drive shafts in the bashing that we did of this truck. Performed excellent. We did not have any issues whatsoever. What I will say in reference to differentials, what I did on this truck, because I saw there was an enormous amount of bleeding going to the front tires, we did change that center diff fluid to 1 million weight diff fluid in here, and the truck woke up. So hopefully you guys see that on the third run. The third run was the one that we have with the 1 million differential fluid in here, and the truck woke up. It was so much lively afterwards. And just even to touch back on the servo of this, once we put that 1 million weight diff fluid in here, it kind of hided the inefficiencies of the servo. The tires were able to stay on the ground and were able to turn this vehicle properly. At that point, I saw where the servo's workable. It's still not the best out there. It's still room for improvement, but I found at that point the servo was workable. So definitely I would say one of the things that you may want to do out the bat, and I normally don't do this with my vehicles, but you may want to do that out of the bat with this truck, is change that center diff fluid. 1 million weight diff fluid in the center, and then afterwards start approaching the front and the rear diff fluid at that point, because primarily in these two, it's just grease. There is no diff fluid in the front and the rear. So in the center, definitely upgrade that to 1 million weight. I saw the truck was a completely different truck at that point. But I would say for the front and rear, adjust accordingly. Take the vehicle out after you do the center and then see what it's like going forward, and then adjust the front and the rear accordingly going through that. Handling and suspension. This truck, I will say, drives like it's on rails. We did not use, as I said, for the primary portion of the testing of this truck, we did not use these tires. These are brand new tires. I'm actually going through some testing on some other vehicles that we have, and I just wanted to throw them on this truck because the other tires, I will touch on that in regards to the durability part of this, but the other tires, we pretty much cannot use them anymore. So back to handling and suspension. The shocks in this are dialed in nicely. I really like how this performs. Just full disclaimer to you guys, I did not own version 1 or version 2 of this truck. This is my first Arrma Kraton. Not my first Arrma, but definitely my first Arrma Kraton. And I have to say that the shocks are dialed in nicely on this vehicle. I did not have a problem with the shocks and how it performed. But I will say that this truck drives like it's on rails. It drives like a truggy. I consider this more of a muggy, and this truck drives like a truggy. It just dials in nicely. I can see if you tune this just right, you can get this thing to really, hit itself on a track and really tear up a track nicely. I'm not saying it's race specs, but I'm saying that it can clearly handle itself on a track. It drives like it's on rails. I will definitely say that about the Arrma Kraton. So handling and suspension, I definitely would say, is a great asset to this vehicle. Probably one of the best handling vehicles I have ever driven. This is excellent, guys. Durability, and we'll touch on this right now so that you guys understand. Won't stay on this too long because there wasn't too many breakages on this truck. Other than 2 minor issues that we had. One was in regards to, if you can see the first running video of this truck, one was in reference to the shock rod end on the rear of this truck. Broke that on the first run. Kind of a weird landing, and I knew it was going to happen because I actually make a comment about that on the video as it happens. But it was one of the first breakages we had on here. The next one was in regards to the wheels on here, and that's why you guys see these wheels on here. I don't know if I'm going to be running these particular wheels on the truck. I think I'll probably switch these out. There's another set that I have more of a desire to run on this truck. But I will say that the nuts on this truck on the third run, and you guys probably saw that in that video. If not, go back to that video and you'll see it. The nuts kept on backing off of the truck. We'll have to do some Loctiting before I even put the next set of wheels on this truck, but the nuts kept on backing out. And that's a little strange because the nuts that are on here, they're serrated. So they should have locked in on that rim and kept it nice and tight. Even if you see on the video, I tightened them during the run and they still backed off. And what was happening is as it was backing out and loosening up, the wheel itself was stripping out on the back end. So I actually lost 2 wheels on this truck because they backed out, stripped out a little bit, and now they just will not perform well. I just don't trust them to perform well on the truck. So I'm gonna use another set of wheels that I have on this truck going forward. But in regards to the shell, the body of this truck, no issues. I know a lot of people tend to stress out, especially on these rear holes. Because of that, I reinforced it with some Gorilla Tape. That's another thing I would suggest doing immediately as you get this truck. Take the body holes that are on here, reinforce it with some Gorilla Tape. You're gonna need that. I did it on this truck, no issues whatsoever. After I've done that, there's no stressing on the holes, nothing here, nothing in the rear. They look excellent. No cracks on the body, no damages to the body. There's some dimple holes right here in the front, but from the most part, the body held up very well, guys. I have had no issues with this body whatsoever. When I did the center differential and swapped out the fluid on it, a few screws needed to be removed, popped it out, put in the differential fluid, pop it back in. Nothing really too crazy in regards to that part. And also in regards to the shock rod end on the back, very simple. Remove the shock, put on the shock rod end, thread it back up again. No issues whatsoever in regards to workability on this truck from what I've dealt with. And from just looking at this truck on a whole, it's very straightforward. There's nothing really crazy in regards to how the engineering is on this truck. So it's very straightforward when it comes down to working on it. It's nothing really to the point where you're going to be having trouble getting to everything. Everything's clearly wide open on it. Support. So as you guys all know, Arrma has now been acquired by Horizon Hobby. In regards to support for this truck, I don't foresee it being an issue. As they work out those kinks between Arrma and Horizon Hobby, I think that's going to kind of smooth over everything. But I don't think there's going to be an issue with this because this is now under the Horizon Hobby umbrella, and Horizon Hobby has amazing support. So I don't foresee that being an issue going forward in regards to the Arrma Kraton or any of the Arrma offerings. Is it worth it? Do I feel that this truck is a value at the $499 price that it currently is at? Yes, this truck is a tremendous value. It's known out in the bashing community as one of the best bashers out there. And I have to say, I did not see anything on this truck that would tell me otherwise. This truck performs excellent out of the box. Yes, you can drive this exactly the way it is as it comes. Yes, you'll have to do some tuning, and that comes with all RCs. You're gonna have to do some tuning on the truck, but for the most part, this is a workable basher straight out of the box. For $499, I think you do get a tremendous amount of value on this. Are the tires throwaways? No. Are they great? Not really, but they're not throwaways. You can operate with the current tires that are on here. The electronics in here, are those electronics that you can just, they're completely useless to you out the gate? No. Get used to the electronics, then adjust accordingly. I thought everything that's on this truck came exactly the way you would want it to bash. And then as you break things and as you drive the vehicle, typical to any other RC, upgrade accordingly. But I thought it was great out of the box. Lastly, to get to the section where would I buy this truck again? And yes, I would buy the Arrma Kraton 2018 edition again. This truck is by far an excellent basher, not a good basher, not an okay basher. It is an excellent basher out there. The only knock I would say about it, and this goes to all of these muggies that are out there, is that it is low to the ground. So some areas are not ideal for it. Mainly those high grass areas are not ideal for it, where you could probably take a true monster truck that's elevated a little bit higher. But this performs very well. I have driven it on grass, I've driven it on dirt, I've driven it on loose surfaces, and it drives well, guys. I do enjoy this truck. It jumps well. It's probably, as I said, it's probably one of the best jumpers I have. I won't say it's the best. I think my Arrma Typhon is probably the best jumper I own, because from what I saw with my Arrma Typhon, that thing just jumps so level. It's a perfectly jumping vehicle. This is number 2 to me. This is definitely one of the second best jumpers I own. This thing just jumps well. It wants to fly. I mean, it's so light in the air, you could pretty much do whatever you want. And as long as you have good throttle control, you could pretty much do whatever you want in the air with this vehicle. So from my standpoint, as if I would drive this, from my standpoint, as if I would buy this again, I would have to say yes. And if you are looking at any of the Arrma offerings, this is definitely one of them. this should definitely be one of the offerings that you're looking at. And hopefully you're in a region where you can get this vehicle because it is worth it. So that's it, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram for our latest post to our channel. This is Ready Set RC, signing out. Thanks again, guys.